Golf is a game built on legends, but not every legend truly lives up to the story. Some players become household names because of their charisma, their style, or a single unforgettable moment, not because they dominated the sport week in and week out. From big personalities who build massive brands to can't-miss prodigies who never quite delivered, the gap between hype and reality in golf can be huge. Today, we're peeling back the myths and looking past the marketing to reveal the 10 most overrated golfers of all time. These aren't necessarily bad players. In fact, some of them were brilliant in spurts. But when you stack their actual results against their reputations, a very different picture emerges.
Rickie Fowler. Rickie Fowler is undeniably one of the most recognizable faces in golf thanks to his flashy outfits, laid-back personality, and heavy endorsement presence. For years, he was marketed as the next big thing, the guy who would carry the PGA Tour into a younger, more vibrant era. And while he's had a few high moments, including several runner-up finishes in majors and a win at the Players' Championship in 2015, the reality is that Fowler has never quite lived up to the hype. For a player who's been on the cover of magazines and in countless commercials, he has just a handful of PGA Tour wins to show for it. His major record is especially underwhelming, and despite being part of every conversation about elite talent, he's never actually delivered the dominance expected of him. It's a classic case of marketing outpacing results, and a reminder that popularity doesn't always equal greatness. Michelle Wie West. Michelle Wie West was hailed as a generational talent before she could even legally drive a car. From playing in men's PGA events as a teen to signing multi-million-dollar endorsement deals, the expectations were enormous. But despite her immense talent and physical gifts, her actual career results never quite matched the build-up. She did win the 2014 US Women's Open and had some strong finishes in LPGA events, but she struggled with injuries, swing changes, and inconsistency throughout most of her career. Her win total on the LPGA Tour stands at 5, a number that pales in comparison to what was expected from someone once described as the future of women's golf. Her legacy is still impactful, especially in terms of media visibility and inspiring young girls, but competitively, her resume doesn't support the level of hype she received early on. John Daly. John Daly is a cult hero. Known for his long drives, wild outfits, and cigarette on the tee box persona, Daly captured the imagination of fans around the world. His win at the 1991 PGA Championship, where he came in as an alternate and bombed his way to victory, remains one of golf's most memorable Cinderella stories. But let's be honest, Daly's career, when examined beyond the headlines and colorful personality, is not what it is often portrayed to be. He only won 2 majors and a total of 5 PGA Tour events. His lack of consistency, off-course issues, and miscuts far outnumbered his triumphs. While he was entertaining and brought a different kind of energy to the sport, the idea of Daly as one of the game's greats is more myth than reality. His style may be iconic, but his overall record is middling at best. Fred Couples. There's something about Fred Couples that makes people swoon. Maybe it's the effortless swing, or maybe it's the cool, calm demeanor. Couples is often cited as one of the most beloved players of his generation, and for good reason. He was a great ball striker, and his tempo was the stuff of legend. But if we strip away the aura and just look at the numbers, the story gets a bit murkier. He only won 1 major, the 1992 Masters, and while he picked up 15 PGA Tour victories, his career never quite matched the expectations that came with his potential. Injuries definitely played a role, but even during his prime, he wasn't dominating the way others in his tier were. In short, Couples was a very good player, even a great one at times, but the reverence he receives often feels disproportionate to his actual achievements. Davis Love III. Davis Love III is a respected name in golf, a Ryder Cup captain, a major winner, and a steady presence on tour for decades. But for a player who has been around the game so long and had so many opportunities, his trophy case feels a little light. He won the 1997 PGA Championship and accumulated 21 PGA Tour victories, but he also missed a significant number of cuts in majors and often struggled to close out tournaments when he was in contention. For years, he was touted as one of the game's most gifted ball strikers, yet his major record never quite reflected that. Love was certainly a high-level pro, but his status in the game often leans more on reputation than cold results. In a sport where final round performance defines legacies, Love came up short more often than not.
Sergio Garcia entered the spotlight with a bang, famously chasing Tiger Woods at the 1999 PGA Championship with flair and emotion. For years, he was the chosen one in Europe, a ball-striking savant destined to win multiple majors. But despite decades on the tour, Garcia's major resume was empty until 2017 when he finally broke through at the Masters. 1 major in a 20-plus year career isn't exactly legendary, especially considering the expectations that surrounded him. Garcia often faltered in big moments and developed a reputation for blaming conditions, courses, and even even fans when things didn't go his way. His Ryder Cup performances were often spectacular, but his solo career remains a case study in unmet expectations. He had all the tools, power, touch, charisma, but consistency and composure were always his Achilles heel. Tom Weiskopf is remembered for his towering drives, stunning swing, and a career that should have been more than it was. A player from the 1970s and 80s era, Weiskopf was routinely described as having one of the most naturally gifted swings in golf history. He won the Open Championship in 1973 and claimed 16 PGA Tour victories, but he also finished runner-up in majors 4 times. Despite the praise and admiration from peers and pundits alike, Weiskopf never managed to turn all that talent into a Hall of Fame-level resume. His demeanor on the course was often described as volatile, and his inability to close out big events became a recurring theme. While he later found success as a golf course architect, his playing career remains a classic example of potential unfulfilled. Ben Curtis pulled off one of the most shocking major wins in modern history when he won the 2003 Open Championship as a virtual unknown. But instead of using that momentum to launch a major career, Curtis faded into relative obscurity. He won a total of 4 PGA Tour events, but never contended seriously in another major again. For years, golf commentators speculated whether that Open win was a fluke, and in many ways, the numbers suggest it was. Curtis was never among the game's elite in driving, putting, or any other major statistical category. He was a solid journeyman who had one magical week. That's not a knock on his talent. It takes skill to win a major, but his name often comes up in conversations about major winners, and in reality, his overall career doesn't support the same level of prestige. Colin Montgomerie is one of the most successful European Tour players of all time. He dominated the Order of Merit in the 1990s, won countless events overseas, and was a Ryder Cup stalwart. But here's the catch, he never won a single major. For a player who spent over 400 weeks in the world's top 10, that's a huge omission. Time and time again, Monty found himself in contention on Sunday, only to fall short. His runner-up finishes at the US Open and Open Championship are numerous, and his final round scoring averages in majors tell the story. He was brilliant in team play and consistent in European events, but when it came to the Big Four, he never crossed the line. For that reason alone, his inclusion on any all-time greats list deserves some healthy skepticism. Ian Poulter is a Ryder Cup legend. There's no denying that. His fiery attitude, clutch performances, and sheer bravado helped Europe in some of its greatest victories. But outside of those team events, Poulter's career has been strikingly average. He's never won a major and only has a handful of PGA Tour wins. For all his confidence and sound bites, he's rarely been a true threat in the sport's biggest moments. His swing mechanics were often criticized, and he never developed a dominant short game or elite putting record to offset his weaknesses. While he built a brand and a fan base off his personality and team performances, his solo career never reached the heights his mouth often suggested it would. He's not just overrated, he might be one of the most inflated players of the past 2 decades in terms of individual results.